Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Miss Cone again. So, this week we're starting something brand new and it's super exciting. Last week we finished reading 11. I'm so excited to look at all your book reports and look over those projects. I'm sure you did an awesome job. This week, I want you to take your brain back to when we did those research projects about Native Americans, because we're going to be doing research projects about the American Revolution. So if you have no idea what that is, totally fine. We're going to learn all about it. If you do, great. You have a head start. So today I want to teach you that researchers, when they're starting to dive into their topic, as they read, they make a list of subtopics. That's one skill that good researchers do. We did this when we read about Native Americans. Do you remember that? We made those whole list of subtopics, and then you guys broke up and you did projects. One subtopic, I think, was food and clothing. We had customs and beliefs. We had jobs and hunting. All these different subtopics underneath our big umbrella, Native Americans. We're going to be doing something very similar with our work on the American Revolution. So, last week, you should have read chapters 1 and 2 about the colonies, I believe. The first chapter was called Meet the Colonists, and the second was If You Lived in the Time of the Colonies. You might be thinking, wait a minute, Miss Cone, I'm so confused. Why are we talking about colonies? I thought we were talking about the American Revolution. You're absolutely right. It's because the colonists, all of that whole time period led up to the American Revolution. So it's super important that we learn all about that and understand it so that then we can learn about the American Revolution and what led up to it, what caused it, all those different things. So today, when you go back on your own, you're going to read chapter 3 called The Rights of Englishmen. As you read, I want you to have your notebook open, your pen in your hand, or your pencil like good readers do. You're going to jot down any subtopics. So a subtopic, it's usually something that repeats a lot, which means that we know if it repeats a lot, it's quite important. If you think back to our work with Native Americans, the subtopics, those were kind of like the general groupings that we could put all of our information into. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to read a little bit of chapter 2, which you already read, and show you how I would jot down subtopics. So watch as I do this. You have the text if you'd like to follow along. It might be helpful. I want you to watch as I read chapter 2. Looking for different subtopics that I can jot down in my notebook. Got my notebook open over here, got my pen, ready to go. All right. Chapter 2. If you had lived in the colonies. Pause. Wow. We're reading nonfiction and I'm already noticing so many text features that I can't forget to pay attention to. I have some headings, I have some text boxes. Let's never forget about those, okay? Growing up. What would it have been like to grow up in the colonies? Let's spend a little time finding out. We'll begin by imagining that you are a colonist and what your family and daily life looks like. Your family probably lives on a farm. 9 out of 10 colonial families live on farms. Okay? So I might jot down family life. Chances are your house is pretty crowded. That's because colonists have large families. You have lots of brothers and sisters. What are the chances that you have your own bedroom? Just about 0. You not only don't have your own bedroom, you don't even have your own bed. You share a bed or a straw mattress on the floor with other children in the family. Before I move on, I'm going to jump up to that text box. The big question. What was daily life like for free colonial children growing up on a farm in comparison to enslaved children? So right away now I know there's going to be 2 different types of children we're talking about because we're doing a comparison. So I have free colonial children and then I have enslaved children. So I'm already thinking about comparing and contrasting just based on the way that was presented to me. All right, the next page I have a picture. The little caption says, many colonial children had lots of brothers and sisters. As you can tell in the picture. Okay, let me go to the next page. While the house is crowded, you are grateful to have so many kids in the family. You don't have neighborhood friends because you don't have a neighborhood. Only people living in villages and towns have neighbors. So your brothers and sisters are your built-in playmates. Of course, everyone has regular chores to do. That includes you. Everyone's day begins at dawn. It's not before. If you are a boy, your first job is to bring in firewood and build the fire. Matches don't exist yet, so you hope there is still a burning coal in the fireplace from the night before. If not, you have to start a new fire. After breakfast and morning prayers, you head out to the fields with your father. You plant and hoe and clear away brush from new land that's to be planted next year. You even help repair a fence or two. Here's a photo of or picture of colonial children at work. If you are a girl, okay, I'm going to stop there because that was all about something. If you're thinking like I'm thinking, that was all about boys' jobs. So I can make a subtopic here. I'll write down boys' jobs, okay? Now I can tell it's in new parks. Now it says if you're a girl, so I'm getting ready for my next topic. Making a prediction is going to be girls' jobs. Let's see if we learn all about those. If you are a girl, you help your mother make candles and preserve foods starting right after breakfast. Your chores probably also include feeding the animals. The rest of your morning is spent helping cook the noon meal. In the afternoon, you sew, knit, weave, or spin yarn. Did you notice there is no time in your day's schedule for school? That's because you probably don't go to school. Perhaps you did last year and the year before, but you can read and write now. Most colonial parents feel that once you can do that, you don't need any more school. Chances are, though, you learn to read and write at home. An older brother or sister, or maybe a parent, teaches you when you are 5 or 6. If no one in your family can read, then you might be sent to learn at another farmhouse where someone else can. It is considered important to learn how to read. All right, we just learned about boys, about girls. I learned about the differences, and now I'm thinking there were a few similarities as well. So if I wanted to break that down, I think their jobs are different, but if you're thinking like I'm thinking, I would write no school, right? They said maybe a little bit, but both of them, that kind of overlapping in our Venn diagram, wasn't much school, especially once you can read or write. The next heading says, or subheading says, children of enslaved people. I'm remembering back to that first question where we compared colonial children and enslaved children. So I think this is going to be a nice new topic for us. If you were a child in an enslaved family on a plantation, your life is different. When you are quite young, say 5 or 6, there is plenty of time to play. In fact, some of your playmates are probably the children of the plantation owners. You may fish, pick berries, and freely explore the plantation fields together. Then, when you reach 7 or 8 years old, you start to take care of your younger brothers and sisters. Also, the plantation owner begins to give you jobs, like sweeping the yard, feeding the chickens, and collecting the eggs. Even at this age, however, you start to understand that you do not have the same freedoms as the plantation owner's children. There's a photo here. It says, enslaved people working in the fields. The big change in your life comes when you're about 10 years old. Now, you begin life as an enslaved worker. You work in the fields doing the same hard work as the adults. You plant, plow, and pick cotton from sunup to sundown. Unlike the plantation owner's children, you probably can't read. There's another difference for my comparing. Depending on the colony you live in, the law may actually forbid anyone from teaching you to read. Can you imagine that? Not being allowed to learn how to read. In my next heading, sickness and cures. Sickness is a serious problem in every colonial home. Many children die from disease. Little is really known about why people get sick or how they can get well and stay well. A lot of people think they know, though. They make their own medicines from plants called herbs, and also from the roots and bark of trees. Do you have a cut that isn't healing? Swelling that won't go down? A bad cold, perhaps? There's sure to be an herb or a root that will cure you. I'm going to pause there because it seems like we're talking about something different now. I might do another little heading here, a little subtopic of, I can maybe say sickness. Let's see. Continue reading. There are also some special tricks that are supposed to help you get better. For example, to bring down a fever, your parents might cut your toenails, put the clippings in a small linen bag, and tie the bag around the neck of an eel before putting the eel in a tub of water. When the eel dies, your fever supposedly goes down. One of the best educated men in the Massachusetts colony recommends that cure. Even if you're just feeling tired, there's a special recipe to help. You roast a toad and grind it up. Then you add boiling water to make a kind of tea. Drink it and you'll be feeling lively in no time. For a cold or sore throat, sprinkle pepper on a piece of meat and wrap it around your throat. And now I'm seeing, if you're following along with me, there's a big scroll that says Colonial Cures. And there's all different things listed on here that can cure sickness. Of course, you could go to the doctor. There are a few doctors in the colonies, but visiting one probably won't do much good. There are no special schools for training doctors in the colonies. Doctors don't know much more than most other people. Doctors do have a favorite cure for almost any illness, though. It's called bleeding the patient. To do this, doctors cut a vein in the patient's arm to let the blood come out. Of course, the best thing to do is to stay well. Okay, that's the end of chapter 2. So I'm going to check back in my notebook, make sure I have all those different subtopics for my future research. Remember, like our Native American research, we're going to need those subtopics to come back to. Today, you're going to read chapter 3, which is the next chapter called The Rights of Englishmen. I want you to do exactly what I did, noticing the headings, noticing the pictures, when the topics change, and jot down those little subtopics throughout the chapter. All right, off you go.